I cannot tell I am to have. I can throw anything. And as busy as she's been this week with the monsoon concert at the Lutheran Church, she and Cantrell pulled it off. Beautiful song. So I want to talk to you today about spiritual vision. So the day beyond the horizon, and they do what needs to be done. So what is spiritual vision? Well, eyes, and our physical eyes are important to help us navigate the physical world. Spiritual eyes are important to help us navigate our spiritual world. So, spiritual vision is developed mostly through prayer and meditation. I know when we're having our healing prayer circle on Tuesdays, and I can read a prayer request or hear a prayer request, that inside of myself I get a vision. Often my prayer is describing a vision of what I am seeing. So if you're interested in developing your spiritual vision, do prayer and meditation pretty regularly because it will strengthen. Sometimes we look around and we hear the news and we on and we get an idea in our mind, we get a vision of what we think is happening. That's not spiritual vision. That's analysis, and often causes paralysis, as we know that. So, and it's not daydreaming. Daydreaming is when we project our own fantasies in our mind's eye, and that is not spiritual vision. Spiritual vision is the ability to look at appearances and see beyond them. And Jesus taught, judge not by appearances, but use righteous judgment. Use right judgment. And we think that that is, okay, it's got to be based in spiritual principle. Well, that's always a good idea. Whatever our decisions are, that's always a good idea. But spiritual vision is something that is given. And some people have it so strongly, they're called prophets. You know, they can prophesy. Not that they're future. They're not telling the future. They're not looking at a palm. What's going on? Spiritual vision is a knowing. It's a combination of being receptive to the Spirit, and just listening. Just listening. I like to say I've got one ear tuned to Spirit and one ear tuned to the world. And that way I stay pretty balanced in my mind. You can tell me otherwise. Spiritual vision. Probably with spiritual vision you're able to really tap into other people too. You can do that. You open your heart, it's a heart connection. You can see perhaps what they are experiencing. Not with your physical eyes, but with your spiritual eyes. Probably the most dramatic story in the Bible illustrating spiritual vision, and there are many stories about vision, Jesus healing the blind and so on and so forth. But I want to talk this morning about the Apostle Paul on the road to Damascus, right? So here he was, he had a letter to round up all those crazy followers of Jesus. Round them up. Throw them in the prison. Get rid of them. And he's on the road, and he'd been doing this for years. Now this is years after Jesus had already died and resurrected and so on and so forth. You know the story. So he's on the way to when all of a sudden there is a blinding light. A blinding light. It is so bold that he's blinded. And it says also, there's several accounts of this experience, that people just fell out, the people traveling with him. And in this time, when this light hears a voice, it says it's the voice of Jesus. Why are you persecuting me? Saul. His name was Saul. Why are you persecuting me? Have you ever had that still small voice speak to you when you least expect it? Well, I'm going to tell you something. I debate and debate and debate. Should I even go there? And I'll tell you. Back in my hippie days, when I grew pot and smoked pot, I never sold it. But I'm sitting at my in-laws' house, and this little voice said, "Donna, why are you handicapping yourself this way?" Wow, I had to sit there, because those of you who've had pot know it can be, if you do think, you forget what you thought. So, I was kind of in that space when that voice said, "Why are you handicapping yourself this way?" Changed my life. You could say my eyes were opened for how I was using at the time my divine energy, my creative powers. Now, I'm not for or against, don't get me wrong, I'm not. I think every experience teaches us something. Every phase we go through, it's all God, even if God is in disguise. So, this happened to Saul. And when it did, he was blind for 3 days. 3 days. 3 is one of those metaphysical numbers, right? It means divine communication, and it means inner wisdom and manifestation. So here, Paul was blinded, so he would take his eyes off of appearances, off of situations that he would get all wrapped up in, like persecuting Christians. And he was forced to turn within in his blindness and develop his spiritual vision. So when he got to Damascus, Ananias, another character in the Bible, laid hands on him and his vision was restored. But before that, Paul asked, "What do you want from me? What do you want from me?" And the voice told him, "I want you to go and tell people the good news." Basically, the good news. Which meant that Paul had to become a disciple. He had to learn what the good news was. He probably didn't even know what Jesus was teaching when he was persecuting them. He was just doing what they told him to do, right? The high priest of the temple. Go and tamp them down solid. Tamp them down. So, when he got there, his vision was restored. And he did a 360 or 180 degree turnaround. And we know that Paul is responsible really for the establishment of Christianity in the world. Because up until then it was just a loose little movement and word of mouth. But Paul started communities after communities. He wrote letters, which are a lot of the New Testament, right? So, very, very instrumental. Have you ever wondered what the difference between a disciple and an apostle is? Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. All apostles are disciples, but not all disciples are apostles. And that's because a disciple is someone who studies, who studies someone's teachings. And an apostle is someone who is given a mission. An apostle is called to do what must be done. And that's what Paul did. This change, this 180-degree change in his beliefs, in his viewpoints, is reflected in the fact that his name was changed. He changed his name from Saul to Paul. And metaphysically, name change, name is nature, metaphysically. His nature changed 100%. So, spiritual vision. Spiritual vision is the source of our guidance, what we are called to do. In preparing for this today, it dawned on me, you know what? I'm an apostle. I was a disciple first, and then I became an apostle. I have a mission to do, and that is to help people open their eyes. A spiritual awakening. To open those spiritual eyes and know who you are and what you are and why you are here. Now, I have many people who wonder why they're still here. They ask me all the time, why am I still here? It's because your work isn't finished. You may wish it. It was Chief Seattle that said, "There go my people, and I must follow, for I am their leader." And that's how some of my friends feel. Family's gone, friends have gone, why can't I go? You will go at the right time, and you will go in the manner in which you have lived. If you've lived with a heart full of love, you will make that transition in love. If you are a peaceful person, if you regularly speak words of peace, you will go on the vibration of peace. This is what I believe. My sister, when she was making her transition, she said, "Do you think it's near?" And I said, "I don't know, Kay." And she said, "I think it is. I think it is." And she fought it and fought it and fought it and fought it. She died of lung cancer. The transition. Because she wasn't certain. She wasn't a person that was a disciple, okay? She really wasn't. But she had a good heart. And she asked me to pray with her. And I spent the last couple of weeks with her, helping her to move on. You have a mission. If you have a mission, then you basically have no choice. Because she said to me, "What choice do I have?" I said, "None, Kay. None. Move on." So, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but life is important. Our days are important. And our spiritual vision to see beyond the human frustrations and all the opinions and the bickering and the this and the that that goes on in this world, all the manipulation and the maneuvering and the this and the that. Get thee behind me. Because I learned as a child there's two ways to see the world as it is and the world it could be. I choose the world that I know can be. And that's a world of peace and love and joy, healing, balance, harmony. Ooh, harmony. Love it. Everything is always given. And for this, I live in gratitude. And that's it for now.